Hey, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I think this might be a little tall. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Mayor, Council, I'm sure you recall the last City Council meeting when you and the Council were asked if you had reviewed and signed the Code of Ethics. Only the Mayor gestured she had. How about the rest of you, Council? Originally, that's what I thought I would be here today to speak about. However, I now suspect that it's not laziness that's prevented the code from being reviewed annually. It's flat-out refusal. This language in the Code of Ethics is standard in politics, and much of this language is found in the League of California Cities, your role as a local elected official document. The League of California Cities represents 99% of the cities in California, and Eureka is included, Miles. This means you're required and expected to follow these terms by joining the council. To be an ethical public official at bare minimum requires transparency. You should serve with honesty and integrity and at the service of the people who put you in the very seat that you sit. It is your duty to remain open-minded on positions of others and to work collaboratively with others to serve the community, not your hidden agendas. I thought I'd be here today to speak largely about the various ethical violations and conflicts of interest surrounding Leslie Castellano and the Inc. people. The Inc. people who are largely funded by the City of Eureka, the city that has numerous positions filled with Inc. people who've been voting on the very funding to be given to the Inc. people, lining their own pockets and agendas. This is not only morally wrong, it's illegal on a state and federal level and for good reason. When we asked the mayor to investigate these conflicts, we were met with silence. In our search for transparency from these elected officials, we've discovered something more dire than the greed of one deceptive nonprofit. This brings me to a serious question. Leslie, Katie, Mario, are you supporting an anarchist agenda? Are you anarchists? Anarchism is a belief that core institutions like government, laws, police, or any other authority should be overthrown using violence if necessary. Your community members deserve to know if their vote is going toward domestic terrorism and to know if your reason for being part of our local government is to dismantle it. Think People support and houses their own Dreammaker project, the Rhizome InfoShock, created specifically for the anarchist agenda. Its intent is to teach people how to systematically infiltrate our community with this agenda. We have proof, and I say we because I'm not alone in this knowledge. The definition of a rhizome in the plant world is a stem that grows underground horizontally just below the soil's surface. It has nodes to put out other stems, meaning what looks like several individual plants may be shoots of the same plant put up by the same rhizome. This is the method of the InfoShop, to appear separate to the public eye while working on their connected underground agenda. In fact, our councilperson G. Mario Fernandez is an author and organizer for HGR, Humboldt Grassroots. The description of HGR's Twitter page is an anarchist organization founded in Eureka in 2007, where participants in many movements, this group exists to fight for anarchism. The Inc. people, which Leslie Castellano is executive director for, house HGR, who show support for violent riots on their social media. We urge the community to look at the facts. Do not assume because we live in this rural area that riots like we've seen in Portland won't happen here. Politically motivated acts of violence aren't some new phenomena, and if we don't pay attention, it'll happen in our Humboldt County. Let the people decide what they want to support instead of trying to hide under the guise of donating to arts and culture. While there are some honest and moral and unknowing dream makers involved, scratch the surface and what do you find with the Inc. people? An anarchist political agenda. Conservative, liberal, the right and the left wing belong to the same bird. Bring it back to the middle.
Thank you for participating. We appreciate you being here.
Answer our questions and be transparent.
Answer questions.
Appreciate you being here. Hi, Mr. Gomez.
In 2003, I opened my first retail business in Eureka called The Fertile World. Within 5 years, we had additional locations in Fortuna, Arcata, and San Rafael. Over the 20 years, I've established 5 businesses in the city of Eureka and have employed hundreds of people. I've contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to the coffers of the city through property taxes, sale tax, cannabis permitting fees, and other taxes. Miles, Mayor, the good people of the city of Eureka and the taxpayers of the city of Eureka deserve to know what the hell is going on and who our money is funding and what their true agenda is. I didn't just move here 6 years ago to infiltrate the school board and our city council, Mr. Mario Fernandez. I actually have children in our local schools. Councilmember Mario Fernandez is also an author and organizer for a radical and violent anarchist organization that publishes a newspaper called Humboldt Grassroots. This violent organization has been supported, funded, organized, housed, and incubated directly by the Inc. people who Leslie Castellano is executive director of, who have been supporting a violent anarchist agenda for many years now. The hidden anarchist agenda wants to perpetuate and violent crime and homelessness, drug addiction, and crime in our communities. Councilmember Castellano, Katie Moulton, Texas, and Mario Fernandez are all affiliated and bound by their anarchist agenda and should be recusing themselves when it comes to anything having to do with the safety of our community, since their true agenda is anarchy. Unfortunately, the mayor and the city manager have allowed them to ignore the code of ethics, which has ultimately led to this infiltration. This council voted to waste $90,000 of taxpayers' money to hire an out-of-town firm to audit EPD. That money could have been used on an annual salary for 2 more police officers to keep the streets safer. There is absolutely nothing ethical about a majority of our council being anarchists, and maybe we're just scratching the surface here. Either way, people who organize, house, finance, and incubate a movement that wants to abolish the police department should not be voting on whether we should be funding the police department. It's a dangerous conflict of interest, Miles. Just this year, Councilmember Castellano and Synapses hosted several anarcho events to help organize and spread her anarchist agenda under the guise of a Zumba class. The definition of anarcho is a person who rebels against authority, established order, and from the ruling power, and a person who advocates and promotes anarchy. It's time to go on record and admit that you, Councilmember Castellano, Mario Fernandez, and you, Katie Texas, are anarchists and incubating and fulfilling an anarchist agenda. The majority vote of this council is dictated by anarchists with no code of ethics to stop them. Let that sink in. I have friends and family who've sacrificed their lives for democratic institutions, and I'll be damned if I allow you to dishonor their service. How do you feel, Scott? Law enforcement? Are you under their flag? Are you under the flag, the democratic flag of the United States of America? It's time to answer questions. Anarchists.
Thank you,
Go to
Mr.
hell.
Gomez. So, friends, before we have our next commenter, I just want to remind everybody that we're not going to be clapping or commenting on what other people say. You can do the hands. It adds to the time that we have, and also it makes people feel uncomfortable. Thank you. Mr. Harrison,
Council,
welcome.
Mayor, Manager, City Manager, you ma'am. I'm not here to come here to be mean to anybody, and I don't hate anybody, but I've been coming here for 6 years asking questions, which none of them ever get answered. And I know I can ask them now, you don't answer questions, but I've been on the mayor's page asking many questions and just been ignored for months. As usual. And this drag queen crap with you guys indoctrinating children with these drag queen shows has got to end. Who wants to bring a Satan-worshiping drag queen to a school, Mayor of Eureka? Is that a good idea for Storytime Hour? I don't know what you're winking for. Look on Tyler Port's podcast where you said it. You want to bring the sisters of perpetual indulgence to the school. That is sickening, disgusting, and unacceptable. Moving on to Hatcher, a drug exchange, caught selling drugs over 3 years ago to this community while you babysit it across from City Hall, where a lawyer just caught selling 7 ounces of fentanyl. What the hell? Why is Hatcher even allowed to be operated in here when they've been caught selling drugs? Swept under the rug 3 years ago. Unacceptable. You want tourism in Eureka? Have you drove through Eureka? It's a scum hole. People lying on the sidewalk doing the jiggle. I come into town yesterday, this guy doing the jiggle over by O'Reilly's. You think tourists want to come through here and see a zombie wasteland? And as far as the mayor's page, there ain't nothing on there to help the city. All there is ad campaign. 6 Rivers Brewery, go to have a beer. Go over here, have a cocktail. We need real leadership. This place needs to be made safer and cleaner. It's a garbage pit. If I was a mayor, I'd be proud to stand up and do something about it. But you guys do nothing. And as far as the drag queen show goes, all of you guys are in compliance. Every one of you are groomers. Every one of you. Because you sit there while the mayor says, mic drop. I'll take a child to a drag queen show all day, every day, no matter how old it is. No matter what they're doing. Twerking their ass in a child's face. You guys are all on board with that. And you are being watched. You will be held accountable.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Graham.
Oh, James Graham. Why did I call you Mr. Harrison? I don't know. I got you confused.
Thank you for scratching the surface. Thank you for exposing the corruption of the local council. I've been an early victim of political violence. I came to my shop many years ago. It said, fascist pig, fuck you. I hate to bring those language up. And fascist pig, go home. And I couldn't get it prosecuted by the EPD at that time because they said, go home. But it didn't say fascist German pig. Go home. So, and I had the Hatcher goons coming after me. I've been death threatened. 2 days ago was the 3rd anniversary of the passing of my stepfather, and that reminded me that on the deathbed of my stepfather dying at the VA hospital in San Francisco as a 7 years Navy veteran that he served for our country, that I got death threatened that very same day. shot death threatened by Hatcher goons calling me exactly in that hallway, and Steve Watson was right next to it. So the filth, the underbelly that we allow the neo-progressive leftist agenda to fester here in this community is totally out of hand. We had a so-called militant harm reductionist, and that was Brandy Wilson running Hatcher. Hatcher distributed by now millions of needles, an unsolved environmental catastrophe for which we do not have a solution. No way it's around it. I just talked to a friend of mine who owns a construction company. He says he's looking into getting a class action lawsuit with other construction companies going, because all of his employees live in daily fear of the stinking needles they find all day long. I hear that also from EPD officers, that the greatest risk that they face are the needles. This is not, I don't pull that out of my buttock. I do this thing for many, many years by now, and nothing has been done. Those that speak out get prosecuted, persecuted, nailed to the wall, nailed to the cross, put into Los Cos outpost, being called harassers for asking our political officials to take some freaking accountability and to be transparent, accountable, and responsible. And that's the only tar we need from our self-elected, selected officials in the face of an opioid crisis, a national opioid crisis. Look what's going on down at the border, shipping the fentanyl in. But I understand all illegals are welcome, right? So you support the shipping in of fentanyl into our community. You're the last city council member that is in open support of Hatcher. You are ruthless. You called me a hate monger a couple of years ago on public television during your election campaign. You are a ruthless, agenda-driven, hardcore Antifa supporting. And by the way, you are part of a member of an organization called Artists Destroying Capitalism. You have no business sitting and serving in a public office, young lady. You do not have any business. Artists Destroying Capitalism, go shove it and get out of office. Shame on all of you. You all should be recalled. We need an interim council and we need a new mayor. You've been corrupt for 8 years and a political failure without not one political achievement to show off. Think about it. You're going to get yours.
Thank you, Mr. Lowenstein. Yeah. Delightful evening. Welcome.
Good evening. I was happy to hear Scott Bauer describe old people as part of the diversity that this community is so proud of, because I was so tired of being denigrated for being called an old white man that it's nice to know that now I'm part of the diversity, and maybe I can start reaping some of the perks of that, reparations or something, I don't know. But anyway, beyond that, I just came from the hospital, got my little visitors thing here, where my wife is for the 30th time since taking your vaunted vax shot a year and a half ago. It's getting old. But beyond that, she'll be fine this time. Her 29th trip, which occurred Saturday night, is when she had just gotten home from her 28th trip and was in such pain that when someone offered her some fentanyl, she took it. I found her dead on the bathroom floor with her face gray, her lips blue, her eyes fixed and dilated, no breath, no pulse, with a foil with fentanyl in her hand and a straw. Fortunately, I was able to get her eyes to flutter. I have to say, I told Chief Jarvis, I don't believe the officer that showed up was human. He got there in inhumanly fast time. Hit her with the Narcan. We got her back to life. She made it. The problem with it is that the officer that hit her with the Narcan told me, I asked him, I says, aren't you guys tired of having to do this all the time? You guys, it happens on a regular basis. And he said that even if I came up with the name, there wasn't a whole lot they could do, because he doesn't feel like it's a priority for the city to go after these people. And I think you all need to step back from your climate goals and your glorifying drag queens, and you need to start focusing on what's happening in this community. I think it's ironic that I'm not the first speaker tonight to speak about this. Okay, I found my wife dead on the bathroom floor because of the fentanyl that you guys are encouraging and condoning and supporting. And you can't say anything about it because, oh, that's racist, to mention where it's coming from. Something needs to be done about it. It was my wife that was dead on the bathroom floor Saturday night because of your guys' encouragement and condoning of the whole damn thing. You need to do something about it. We don't care about climate agendas. We don't care about drag queens for kids. We care about the people we find dead on our floors from the scourge that you're allowing in our community. Excuse me, I have a hospital to get back to.
Thank you, Stephen. Welcome, Mr. Wilcox.
It's Harry.
I can call you Harry? Awesome. Welcome, Harry.
There's so many issues I could hit on tonight, but the one that I really want to hit on is the mental health issues in this community. You want to see a perfect example of mental health issues? How about 8 years of year after year after year after year of addressing this council and getting nothing? That's the designated meaning of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting, a result and getting nothing. You've got to change your approach to this situation. I was at the council little meeting that you had, Mayor, and I brought up some good ideas, and there were some good ideas brought up, but once again, it was just lip service. Where is the action? It doesn't take 90 days to do something. It doesn't take 100 days to do something. It takes me walking up to one person and reaching out and saying, we can help. But that doesn't seem to be what's happening. Like I said, to ignore what's going on, to think people want to be homeless, that's insanity. That's mental illness. I know. 40 years as a junkie, 18 years clean and sober. I was homeless in New York City during the winter for 18 months. That was insane. And I got help, thank God, and my own will. But somebody had to reach out. And if we don't reach out, everything's going to continue. You people are so into the Green New Deal and, drag queens and everything. Meanwhile, there are people literally dying out there in the green spaces and bus stops. And what are we doing? Talking. Constantly talking. Well, talking doesn't feed the bulldog. We've got to start action. We've got to get out there in a one-on-one. Every day, my butt with my bad legs are down in Cooper's Gulch. I know 51 people down there that the police don't know because they run from the police. They're afraid of them, that they're going to be beaten up, whatever. Yet, that's another reason I grew the beard, because they feel comfortable with me. Because I talk to them, I get on their level. I don't threaten them. I try to work them. And thank God I know the 3 people that have gone to services. And if I can do it as one person, you people can do it as a group.
Thank you, Harry. Welcome. We haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you.
I'm here tonight to ask the mayor and the city council, when are you going to find a home for the transients that have taken over the downtown and old town business districts? My building, the Abraxas store, was broken into for the 5th time over the past 2 years, despite a security alarm and front gate. The cost to me over these past 2 years for broken glass has been $31,000 out of my own pocket because of my large deductible to keep my insurance rate low. If you go up and down 4th and 5th Streets, all you see are metal gates to keep out the transients. The amount of money that the renters and landlords have to pay is astronomical just to keep their businesses safe. Why isn't the City of Eureka doing anything to help the business people? The only time anything is cleaned up is when a cruise ship comes to port. That tells me that you know how bad everything really is. The mayor could do policies and directives to counter the vandalism and crime that has taken over Eureka. She could declare downtown and old town historical districts where loitering and occupying business entries is illegal under this type of zoning. Don't you want your city to be beautiful? Everyone I talk to believes that you don't care. Our city, if revitalized, could be a large draw for tourists. It could be something we could be proud of. You were voted into office to represent we the people. Why do you want Eureka to look like San Francisco or Los Angeles? The transients that have been bussed into our community deserve a place to stay, and it's your responsibility to find them shelter. Many of them are a danger to the public. Are you waiting for someone to be killed before you act? How would you like it if you had a business in downtown or Old Town and you were constantly broken into and your customers harassed and threatened by the transient population? I'll guarantee you wouldn't. Part of your yearly budget is for safety for the public. Are you using it? I don't think so. We are short on officers. Is the police department being defunded year by year? Absolutely. You need to increase safety to the citizens of Eureka, not take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Do we have anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Come on up. Welcome.
My name is Dawn Crow, and I live in Fortuna, but all the people that I know would rather not come to Eureka because it is turned into an armpit. Have homeless people walking out in front of our vehicles when we drive through town. We have homeless people assaulting us when we come into Eureka. I was at In-N-Out Burger just 2-3 weeks ago, had a homeless guy come up, asked me if I had extra change. I said, no, I do not have any change. And he called me every name in the book, and not kind ones. I have lived here for 40-some odd years in Humboldt County, and I have watched this area go down. You know, manure spreader comes to mind. It's crappy, and I would rather not have anything to do with Eureka. I don't want to come up here and go shopping because of the area. And if I can't get it in Fortuna and I can't get it online, I'll live without it. So please, please support your police officers to do their job. That is what county, city government should be doing. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Council. So,
welcome.
Yeah, I came tonight to just say, hey, Mario, let's do better on getting the notice out about your town hall. I'm really excited about that. Ward 3, there's a lot of people that want to look forward to, having this town hall. I've been asking you, Kim, for a long time. I think it's really important. But, hearing that you're giving money to the Area Aging Foundation and they're doing direct mailings, like, what the hell? Like, those direct mailings need to go to your constituents if you're having a meeting. We're important, and I want to feel important. I don't feel real important right now, especially this. This is beyond disturbing, Council, and I hope to God you take every word serious because the entire community is going to be reading this soon. If any of this is true, one sentence of it is true, we're living in hell.
Thanks, Patty. Is that available?
You've got them. It's on record.
Great. Thank you.
Do your research. You'll see what's going on up here.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Hi, welcome.
Hi, guys. Jessica Repholz, business owner here in town. I'm only here today because I am really worried for our community. As many of you guys know, I grew up in Watts in the Los Angeles area, a really rough neighborhood and more. I've been here 11 years, and every year that goes by, I now realize that I want to relocate because this is not where I want to raise my kids. The one thing that I don't miss from LA is gates, fences, trash, litter, homeless people in every corner. And unfortunately, the more and more and more that I look around, that is what Eureka is becoming. My business is down the street on Summer Street, right next to the new beautiful building for food for people that's being built. And it really tore my heart down when I saw a huge fence with the claws pointing out, meaning we're keeping people out. This whole everybody that sits up here talks about inclusivity. How are we including people by building more fences? But you know why people are building more fences around their business, even though I refuse to do that? Even Kim, you said, hey, make friends with the people who are sleeping underneath your patio and have them take care of the bit. What? Is that like, is that really how we want to encourage us to open more businesses here, to tell us to make friends with the bum that's sleeping underneath our thing that pees and poops there and that I have to come and clean in the mornings? And I don't even call APD anymore because I know they're understaffed and super busy. So I just take care of it myself. But that's gross. I don't want to do that every day as a business owner. So just please help us make Eureka a better place.
Thanks for being here, Jessica. Anyone else from the audience who'd care to speak? Okay, seeing no one, we'll go over to Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? See anybody?
I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you everybody for
Wait,
being
hello,
here.
wait.
I would like to speak.
Okay.
Okay, we have.
Hello everybody.
Hi, Paul.
I was born and raised here in Eureka. I've moved away a couple times, and I've always moved back. I love this town, I love this community, this county, but it's hard to love it anymore. I've seen so much go on, just like everyone else here has said, of the crime, drugs, homeless, and it's really heartbreaking to me to see this happening. And it's not getting better; it's getting worse and worse. And I'm kind of a kind of guy that believes in tough love. But people should earn their way in life. And I understand we have a lot of mental people with disabilities and stuff, and it's not an easy fix. But the one thing I want to say is I ran up and down that bay when I was a kid every day. I love that bay. I fished there so much. You know, I ran under Patty's business and Lazio's. I basically lived on their dock fishing. And it's a tragedy for me to see some of the things that go on down in Old Town. One of my biggest concerns is open space. I would love to see a hard stance on keeping open space on the waterfront. And I know I heard a rumor about maybe some affordable housing be built on the waterfront. I don't really know what's going on with that, but I pray to God that doesn't happen. We do need some housing, but I think that's not the place. That's a beautiful waterfront that should be used for the whole community, and for the Humboldt Bay, it's a very valuable resource. One of the things I thought is why can't they use the old Jacob site? There's a big old Jacob site out there that would be great for building some homeless housing. You know, it's on the bus lines, it's close to the shopping, and I think it would be a much more valuable place to use it. One more thing, I drove down to the waterfront today and noticed that part of the Howerson Park was mowed, and I'm sure it was mowed because the Canadian Sculpture Race is going to be there next weekend, and the weekend after this. And as many of you know, I am part of the Humboldt Kiters, and we are putting on the biggest, best kite festival this year on the waterfront. And the fields that we use there aren't mowed, and the grass is really high.
Thank you, Paul. Your time is up.